um, services that are really available to you that are unique to you as a fighter that you're going to need are key as well. And then obviously, and I'm not talking about like George St. Pierre who can get like an Under Armour endorsement deal with millions of dollars, because that's not in the cards for almost every fighter.
No, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Those are very, like you said, fickle opportunities. Those are
Yeah.
few and far between, right?
And listen, like I get offers from promoters that I say no to because I'm not gonna fight for that little. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I've got offers to fight like Shane Campbell for $2,000.
yeah.
Like
No,
fuck that.
that
You
guy
know
was
what I
in the
mean?
UFC.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna do that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I'm just not gonna do that. And the quality of your competition, so you should be compensated for that. If you're fighting a guy who's 10-1 and it's gonna be a high level fight, you deserve high level pay.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? If you listen, if I'm gonna listen, if you want to run me out there with a guy who's 3-7, where I can just go out there and get a win, and you want to pay me $1,500, yeah, now we're talking. You
Yeah,
want to do that? That's fine. I get that. I get where you're coming from. And now on the higher end, places like ONE FC and Bellator might actually pay you a little bit more because their talent pool is smaller.
yeah.
Whereas the UFC, for example, they you are completely expendable to them, right?
Well,
So like if
the
you
market
don't,
is saturated. Like
yeah,
in
if
terms
you
of
don't
yeah,
you don't really have a lot of bargaining power, because if you want to be in the UFC, which is like, okay, you might not even be getting paid the best, but the
yeah.
potential to get paid there
That's
is there. But one thing you've got to understand as a fighter is that you can't pay your credit card bill with potential. You
yeah,
can't pay your credit card bill with exposure, right? That's important to know, and it's important to know your value. And listen, it's important to know your value, even if your value isn't even that high,
yeah,
right? But I know lots of fighters where it's like, I look at this guy, and this guy's a fucking killer. He's gonna star. Like he's gonna be great, and he should be having people looking out for his financial interests,
yeah,
because I just have a feeling that they're gonna be there, and he can actually make like a career out of it, where he is like, you know. So have I made a fucking shitload of money in my MMA career? No, but I bought a house. You know what I mean? Like I make enough money now where it's like it's having an impact on my finances, and it opens doors for me to do other things
yeah.
in my life. But like, you know what I mean? Am I going to make ever $100,000 in my career? You know, probably not from one fight, honestly. And you got to be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
right? But the UFC does this thing where it's like they get people into these contracts. Like if you look at like Paddy Pimblet, for example,
You made like 10 G's, right?
yeah, and Paddy Pimblet, like if you look back on his career, he's gone through it, man. He's had really tough fights in Europe. Like
Yeah.
he is not a prospect. He is a full blown veteran. Like, and he can fight his fucking ass off. You know what I mean?
Legitimate fighter, not an up and comer at all, right? So
Nope.
yeah,
And when you watch him, there's a magnitude to it. Like there's something about him that draws you in. It makes you want to watch him fight. It makes you want to see him lose, and it makes you want to see how he's going to react in turmoil and stuff like that. And like, I don't think it's doing anything good for him where the UFC are like giving him these easy fights, because I don't think that he wants that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I think that he should be compensated. I think you should run it out there. You should put him out there against top 10 guys, because I think that he's available to do it, and fucking pay the guy.
yeah,
Another problem is that like um Contender Series is that when you sign a contract for Contender Series, if they decide to take you, your first 4 fights are locked into that contract, right? So you have no negotiating power if they decide to take you,
yeah,
right? And that's the thing, is that maybe you get into Contender Series when you're 4-1 and get a finish, and this is great. You're off to the races now with the UFC contract.
yeah.
But there's lots of guys who are winning on Contender Series that like
12-5.
aren't contenders.
Yeah,
They're established fighters, and they might even be taking a step back
just yeah,
in
exactly.
doing so. You know what I mean? So it's just, and that's another thing too, is that I don't know if like you listened to the Jake Shields podcast when he was on Rogan last time, but he talked about how much money he was making from like fighting on organizations outside. Like he fought in his last fight in Strikeforce. I don't think it was Dan Henderson, but he said he got paid more for his last fight in Strikeforce than he did to fight George St. Pierre for a title in Toronto in front of 60,000 people. Like,
That's
make sense of that, and
yeah,
that's not fair. And he said the reason that he was interested in it is because of the hype that you get from the UFC could lead to other things, right? But it's like that didn't do anything for him in the short term. Obviously, he went on to have like a continued success and whatever,
yeah,
but that's kind of like to be in a main event like that and like take a pay cut is kind of like you can't tell me that the money's not there to pay him
Yeah.
when it's like
No, they're a publicly traded company. They're
yeah
fucking. They got the money.